Renters, we're talking to you on this one. We know that it is probably a fear of yours of we can rent and sign that lease year to year. We're not into a mortgage. We don't know what the economy's going to do. We don't know what the market's going to do. Well, watch our previous video, our other video that we did, and you'll see why we have debunked that. So we're talking to you on this one. And basically what we want to cover is how you can go from paying someone else's mortgage to actually building equity for yourself. And you may be able to also get around the same size home that you're already in. So, Sam, what neighborhoods are we going to cover on this one?
So, yeah, we looked locally at some other neighborhoods that we've already been talking about in some of our other videos. We looked at Castlegate, Castlegate 2, Castle Rock, and Shenandoah and Alexandria. Those neighborhoods are, high volume of renters in that area. And we looked at some comps as far as what people are renting for in those neighborhoods, what those homes that they're renting are selling for, and what those monthly mortgage payments would be on those homes.
Yeah. So just to go down the list of what the average rent is in those areas, the Shenandoah and Alexandria areas, the average rent is $2,063. That's not an easy rent.
It's a sizable chunk
to make. It is. The Castle Rock, $2,300. Castlegate 2, $2,700. And Castlegate is $2,200. So these aren't your just, easy rent payments to make. And if you do the math on, $2,200, how much is that a year? $28,000, guys. Like, all that's just gone, right? Yes, do you have freedom to move about and move somewhere else? Absolutely. And if that's your goal, stick with it. But if your goal is to pay someone else's mortgage, says no one, we want to let you know that it's possible to get into loan and buy a home, start building equity for yourself. So let's start with Shenandoah and Alexandria.
Yeah.
Tell us if, just take it from here, kind of the home that you picked out, and explain how it's possible to get that home.
Yeah. So I looked at a house that the current rent is about $2,650. That home's estimated market value is $350,000. To afford a $350,000 home, you're looking at about $2,800 with putting 20% down. So if you really think about that versus what they're already paying for their rent, it's not that.
What was the rent again?
The rent was $2,650. Yeah.
So for $150 more, you can start owning and building equity. And in 5 years down the road, watch what happens to that place.
And look, right now we're talking about 20% down. We understand that not everybody can afford 20% down. For you first-time home buyers, that's where we would start talking about less down payment. The thing that comes with less down payment, though, is a little bit higher of a monthly mortgage payment. So that's something to be aware of. But for right now, we're talking about general 20% down, conventional 30-year loans.
But, if we're talking investments and someone were to come to you and say, hey, I got an investment for you that only costs you $300 a month, and it could really change your life in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Would you take it? Would you look into it at least?
Yes.
I would think you would, because you're already spending the rent money. And now it's time to start really thinking about your financial future to see, am I wanting to continue to pay that mortgage of someone else? Or maybe they own it outright and they're just cash flowing, right? Could be. So the next neighborhood will go to Castle Rock.
Yeah, so the comp that I looked at in Castle Rock was about $2,500 a month for rent. To purchase that same home, it would be $356,000 with an estimated monthly payment of $2,854. So again, that's pretty close to the last neighborhood that we talked about.
It's around $300 more.
Yes.
Kind of seeing a trend here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's too early to call it a trend, but
well, it actually gets better here in a second. So now we can talk about Castlegate 2.
Okay.
So in Castlegate 2, the home that I looked at is renting for $2,500. To purchase that same home, market estimates about $360,000, and the mortgage payment on a home like that right now with the current market rates would be about $2,880. So again, about a $380 increase monthly from the last from the rent
payment.
Yes. And then finally with Castlegate, the rent on the home that I looked at is $2,300. The purchase on that home would be about $290,000. So your estimated payment would actually be about $2,350 at current market with 20% down.
Wow.
So, if you have that savings, if you have that 20% down, if you're sitting there and you're letting the rates scare you and you're like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And we can also back into it from another way. We take your rent payment. If this is all you want to spend on home, I can help you find homes that we'll teamed up with Sam, homes that we can get you into with that same payment. You know?
Yeah. And that's what we're all about, is talking to you about what are you willing to pay? What comfortably fits your budget? And that's one of our other points for today is, the financial experts say that your mortgage payment should be about 28% of your gross monthly income. So for these homes that we just talked about, all of them, your household income, meaning, you and your spouse or whoever, should be anywhere in the range from $100,000 to $120,000. So, if you're there and you're renting, maybe it's time to start looking, because like Adam has said multiple times, paying somebody else's mortgage is not doing anything for you. You're not building any equity. You're not taking advantage of that appreciation in that home. You are also susceptible to rising rent payments.
Absolutely.
When you're locked into a 30-year mortgage loan,
It's
that
fixed, baby.
does not change. So these are all points that when you start thinking about them and you're sitting there looking at your finances, it could start making a little bit of sense.
But I'll say this, it does have the option to change.
Yes.
If interest rates change, right?
Yes.
What can they do?
You can refinance.
Boom.
So if you are sitting in a home that you have a 30-year fixed rate mortgage on, looking at a possible refinance could also help you in the future as far as, okay, rates came down, let me refinance. What's the cost of the refinance? And then after you figure all of that out with your mortgage loan officer, looking at, okay, how long do I have to keep this loan after I refinance to where I'll recoup that cost of the refinance? And normally it's a few years,
Yep.
So
the message is reach out, get informed. Let's look at some things. And who knows, you can maybe start building equity within the next 30 days or so.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.